Welcome to our video series on advanced DreamWeaver features and techniques. In this video, we'll look at some of the advantages of DreamWeaver formatting. In this video set, I'm going to be demonstrating many of the features of Adobe DreamWeaver, and specifically, I'll be using Adobe DreamWeaver CS3, which is the latest version as I record this. But these demonstrations should also work very well for previous versions because there's a lot of similarity between the versions. And what I'll be covering is, I'll be offering many tutorials on how you can use DreamWeaver productively. As much as possible, I'll try to avoid what's very similar in DreamWeaver to many of the other web page creation and editing softwares. As much as possible, I'll focus instead on DreamWeaver's many unique features and certainly its many very useful features. Okay, let's get started. So first of all, let's just create a new blank web page. So File, New, and you can choose from different types of pages: blank page, blank template, page from template, page from sample, and so on. And there are different page types: HTML, HTML template, and so on. And we're just going to have something very basic here. So HTML, layout none, and OK, document type. This is really a more advanced HTML specific decision. Effectively, you're choosing which version of HTML this page should stick with. And HTML is, of course, a language that makes up web pages. So an older version of HTML is HTML 4.01 transitional. And then there's strict, and so on. It's not hugely important. You may want to do some research on this, depending on how much you want to get into the nitty-gritty of HTML and what you can do with your pages, but generally HTML4 is fine. So let's just create that. And actually, we've gone straight into Code View. We want to go into Design View. Code is where you're dealing with a page at the code level, and Design View is a whole lot easier. So all this code is what's needed to create a blank page. And OK, what we want to do is File, Import, and there are a number of options. And if we choose Word document, OK, now we need to specify a Word document. So let me just produce one for this example. OK, I've quickly put together a Word document and applied some different formatting, some different fonts, different font sizes, different font colors. So let's see what DreamWeaver makes of this. OK, we specify in Import Word Document the Word document we want and files of type. OK, just one type. So what Microsoft Word document? That's all it's looking for. Formatting options: text only, text with structure and basic formatting, and full formatting. So let's go through these and see what happens. First, text only, and I can pretty much guess how this is going to look. Just the text and no formatting at all, not even the paragraph breaks. So quite difficult to read. Let's just select that and delete and try again. Import, Word document, demo. Let's choose text with structure. So paragraphs, lists, tables. Clean up Word paragraph spacing. Let's leave it enabled for now and see what happens. And OK, that's how it looks. All the text is there, the paragraphs are there, but it's kept no other formatting. So I'll do a Select All and delete. File, Import Word document. Select a document, and let's choose, let's say, text structure, basic formatting, and let's see what that does. OK, image description. There's one image. And it's importing that as well, and it wants a description of the image, so I'll just say light bulb. OK. Okay, it's imported, and the text still doesn't have much formatting, but at least we have the image. So lastly, let's edit, select all, and delete. File, Import, Word document, select it, and let's choose the bottom option and see how it looks. Okay, once again, descriptive text for that image. Light bulb, let's do that. And okay, that's looking a lot better. It's kept the highlight, it's kept the change of font, it's given this font the correct color, and we have the image as well. Out of interest, let's go to Code View and let's see. If you aren't familiar with HTML or don't really want to get involved with HTML, this may not interest you, but just out of interest, let's have a look at how tidy or untidy the code is that's created. And it's not bad at all, actually. This is a relevant point, and I'll come to this in just a moment, but the code is actually pretty neat. So that's good HTML code. Okay, the reason I mentioned that is, if we go back to the Word document, and if we go File and Save as Web Page, okay, so demo.htm, it has the right name for a web page, the right file extension, HTM for web page. So let's save that, and it's done. So now if we go to DreamWeaver, File, Open, let's open up demo.htm, which we just saved. Okay, I have to close it in Word, so let's just do that now. Okay, it's open now, and in the first instance, it looks pretty similar. However, if you go to Code View, it's completely different from the clean code that DreamWeaver creates. And really, the more complicated your HTML code, the more likely that something's going to go wrong when a visitor comes to your web page, because the more complicated it is, the more possible that the web browser will misinterpret the code. So I really suggest that you should keep things simpler rather than complicated when it comes to web pages. And there's all this code, a huge amount of code just to produce the same effect. It also has the effect of making the web page a lot bigger, of course, which actually means that it can load slower for those on slower connections. It won't make a huge amount of difference on a broadband connection, but it is just another consideration. And there is a command, and I was going to touch on this in a later video, but now it makes perfect sense to introduce you to it. Command cleanup, and there's a specific command, cleanup HTML. Okay, basic. Clean up HTML from Word 2000 or newer. Remove all word-specific markup. Yes. Clean up CSS. And CSS stands for Cascading Style Sheets, and it's the programming language that works alongside HTML. HTML really creates the formatting language and the basic layout of the page, whereas CSS creates more advanced formatting and more advanced layout. So you could say that effectively HTML and CSS are two programming languages that work alongside each other to create great-looking web pages. So clean up CSS, clean up font tags. Font tags is an antiquated way of choosing different font styles, font colors, and so on. And really, it's not used much anymore. It's really best you don't use it. You would use CSS styles instead. Then fix invalidly nested tags, always a good idea. Set background color. Apply source formatting. That means tidy up the code and basically make it look neater. Show log on completion. Yes. Okay, detailed. Remove word-specific markup, XML, and basically we don't want to go through all this, so let's OK that. And it's done. And you see what it's done. 5 meta tags removed, 7 instances of Word XML removed. A lot has been removed. And now, if we take a look at the code, it's looking pretty good. Hugely better. It's not quite as good, but it's pretty much the same as the DreamWeaver code, so that makes a huge difference. And actually, I was going to touch on these in a later video, but it's worth touching on now because we've partially used it. You can clean up Word HTML, and you can also just clean up HTML, which tidies up your documents. Empty container tags, yes. Redundant nested tags, yes. And if you aren't familiar with these terms, if you start becoming familiar with HTML, these are pretty basic terms within that programming language. Non-DreamWeaver HTML comments, yes. DreamWeaver special markup, yes, and that's fine in my case. Generally, I think this is fine, I find, but you may not wish to enable that, because if we look at this again, it says, if you remove DreamWeaver markup, then changes to library items, templates, and tracing images will no longer update this page. So if you use any of those, don't enable this. Then specific tags, if you want to get rid of specific tags, you can do so here, and I've often done that. You just enable that and type in font, for example, if you want to get rid of every instance of the font tag. And options, combine nested font tags where possible, but we're removing the font tags. And show log on completion. Okay, nothing to clean up, so that's fine. And finally, this will make this a little messier, but let's press Enter a couple of times. Press Enter there, do some spaces there, do some spacers there. Sometimes when you're working on your pages for a while, the codes can be a bit all over the place, which makes it difficult to work with the code. So all you want to do is Command, apply source formatting, and it instantly tidies up your code so it's a lot more readable. It doesn't change anything, it just formats it in a nicer way.